I think this morning, Simon, we should raise a glass to your chum, Trevor Birch, at the EFL.
Yeah.
I mean, in spite of your protestations, I think it's time to accept the positives of what Hollywood owners can bring to football. The EFL has managed a 40% rise in overseas broadcasting rights, and it's eyeing up cracking America. And your friends at Wrexham, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, and look at your face, you don't like to compliment them, and you won't. But Wrexham claim they now have the biggest international following of any EFL club, beating the likes of Leeds United and Leicester City. That's where we're at.
They probably do. I mean, they probably do because of the nature of the association with a major movie star. And let's see how that plays out. And let's see how that plays out if they manage to get promoted out of League Two this season into League One, where the costs go up and everything goes up exponentially. Let's see how much appetite they've got, because we know this is a project that's ostensibly being funded by an underpinning TV deal. And when it becomes that TV deal only goes so far and you've got to write out proper checks with due respect to the scale of wealth they've got, we'll see how much ambition and how much enthusiasm they've got for it. Right now, what they've done is they've turned an ailing Welsh football club into something that people are talking about. Well done to them. I have every respect for that, but I don't want to go overboard attributing far too much to them than they necessarily merit. They've got huge interest because a lot of people look at Ryan Reynolds. The other fella, he carries his bag. But Ryan Reynolds is the audience
kind
grabber.
of true.
Kind of true, isn't it?
Well, Tom Brady's going into Birmingham City as well, and I met some of their guys last week, and they're really happy about that because it gives them profile.
Fantastic, but profile carries you so far. In the end, you've got to know what you're doing, and you've got to have the propensity to put your hand in your pockets. And so far, what we've seen from Tom Brady's little crew is bring Wayne Rooney in and put Birmingham in the bottom 5 of the Championship.
But profile, Simon, whether we like it or not, has got a big deal to do with a 40% rise in overseas broadcasting rights.
Maybe we can attribute some of that factor into the equation. I mean, ultimately, they're not going to be buying TV rights for English football because Netflix have done something on a documentary that subsequently makes sense, and you've got a movie star attached to a film, to a football club. I think you've got to attribute a lot of that to the remarkable nature of the attendances inside the Championship, the value of the clubs that are inside that Championship, like Leeds United and other clubs that are in there, they've got heritage, and the fact you've got two boys at the top of the EFL in Rick Parry and Trevor Birch that know what they're doing.
Well, exactly. The advisor to the board at Wrexham is Sean Harvey, who, of course, was once the top man at the EFL. But he's been talking about the merits of this US broadcast deal.
The league concluded a deal yesterday to sell its own overseas TV rights for the next 4 years, and effectively has recognised that the previous way of selling these rights wasn't going to generate the maximum value. So effectively, they split the rights and sold them individually into America, and that's the story of the day. The EFL giving its clubs a platform to try and win hearts and minds in the USA.
I mean, it's down now to the EFL, I suppose, Simon, to show us that they've got the reach, they have the appeal, they have the drive, the enthusiasm to get from there, where they've got to now, good luck to them, to there.
Well, I think for once, including the fellow that just spoke, we've got some competent running of the EFL in terms of Rick Parry and Trevor Birch. Previously, none of them, including Sean Harvey, have been particularly good at what they've done. And so now you've got people inside the EFL that commercially know what they're doing. And you've got this order that's being maintained in the EFL. Rick Parry and Trevor Birch have got a real opportunity to get the Premier League to come to heel around some proper distribution. Lovely you getting overseas deals. Lovely another 150 million quid on top of the Sky deal that's been increased to whatever it was, 180 million pound a season. So they've done two deals that have exponentially grown it. The next frontier is they can get some proper money out of the Premier League in advance of the independent regulator. So the EFL's got to hold together, because I know this league, and I know that there'll be clubs sitting in the EFL now going, "Oh, don't ever play your hand, Rick. Don't ever play your hand. Take what's on offer from the Premier League. Now is the time. You're never going to get an opportunity again. You've never had an opportunity in the last 30 years to get a deal with the Premier League and to get them to come to heel because of the threat of the independent regulator." So one thing is getting overseas deals for 150 million quid. Over 4 years or whatever it is. Another thing is getting the Sky deal for £180 million a season. There is an opportunity to get near to 20% of UK distributions, which is 700 million. And that's where they need to hold their nerve, and that's where the opportunity for the EFL. But it's a brilliant league. And look at the teams in it. Look at the fact it's probably the fourth or best supported league in European football as our second tier of English football. Look at the competitivity in it. Look at the jeopardy in this league, and look at the guys that are running it now. And that's where the value is.
Even if the distribution does get agreed and it's much better and healthier and everyone's happy, is there going to be any changes in the way that's governed? Because
Absolutely. Otherwise, it's worthless.
That's what I was just going to ask.
They will have to bring in a variety of things, and I think salary cap should be right at the top of the queue.
What should their next priority be, Simon?
Get the money out of the Premier League and underpin it with governance like salary caps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Based on turnover.
And also look at their own distribution mechanisms, because it's ironic that we complain about the Premier League and its distributions, whereas currently what happens in the EFL is 80% goes to one league, 12% goes to League One, and 8% goes to League Two. So you've got this cliff edge in each division. We complain about the cliff edge dropping out of the Premier League. You've got a cliff edge dropping out of the Championship. So there's a lot of things, but these boys have got the capability to do it.
Morning TalkSPORT, that must be us. No name in this. I'm not a Wrexham fan, but I think Simon is underestimating Ryan Reynolds. He's not just a Hollywood star, he's actually a keen investor, and he's a smart businessman. Look up his history and his investments. He can fund Wrexham to go all the way to the Premiership.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Yes, of course we know that he's invested in some very significant alcohol companies, made a lot of money out of those businesses.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. If you attach your name to something and you're in a position of great influence, it's often easy to make money, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
We'll see. The appetite.
Don't know.
I mean, Simon, without them, Wrexham Man United pre-season in San Diego probably wouldn't have happened last year.
Of course not. And absolutely. And I do not decry the impact and the effect that they're having on their football club. My question is, when it gets expensive, and I mean really expensive,
right?
Because this time last year we were hearing them say if we didn't get promoted, it was existential, because that £1 million it would have cost if we didn't get promoted was an existential threat. What? Make your mind up. Either you've got loads of money and you're a keen investor, or £1 million is a big sum of money. Ultimately, if you're going to get to the Championship and you're going to compete, you're going to be spending tens of millions of pounds.
Sure, but you do accept, though, that the 40% rise in overseas broadcasting rights in the EFL, a lot of it has got to do with people like these two coming into the game.
Well, it's not a case of accepting it, because I'm not resisting the notion. I'm not on the other side of the argument. I'm just
you don't like them.
I'm not, but no, I've no interest in them either which way. I'm just not attributing more to them than is necessary, because by attributing the success of something to them, you're diminishing the achievements of other people. They are part of the process. Of course, the awareness factor would have gone up to fivefold, but the Championship wouldn't be a secret. It's also not huge amounts of money. So with the greatest respect in the world, the Championship is the reason why the EFL is being rewarded with this deal, not because Ryan Reynolds
people like them
is running around
as well,
donning a Deadpool mask at Wrexham.
But they have raised the global appeal. You can't deny that.
It depends.
I mean, we might see, we talk about a 39th game. Will we see a Championship match played in the US sometime soon?
For what purpose and to what end and for what reason?
To service the audience that's obviously out there.
Well, the audience is serviced for the broadcasting deals. Well, I've never understood this argument, why we need to hawk our mutton over to another part of the world to prostitute ourselves, to make us look like we need their particular products, when we've got the whole nature of the deal is a broadcast deal. They've got the vision. Let's have some more money from broadcast deals. So I'm not denying in any shape or form the value of Ryan Reynolds' contribution to Wrexham and the fact that it will have had an uptick in the US because of the fact you've got a major movie star that's got tens of millions of followers having some eyes on the prize. When he shuffles off back to polishing his Hollywood star and is no longer interested in Wrexham, we'll see how long that interest stays with Wrexham.
So wrong.
I think
I mean.
there's one. Simon sounds jealous of these guys, Jim, doesn't he?
Well, who's not jealous of a major Hollywood movie star that looks like he does? You've got to have an element of jealousy about it, haven't you? Envy's a better word.
There's Gary, who's got in touch. Jim Simon, Portsmouth, of course, owned by one member of the Walt Disney family. Well, somebody that used to work for the Disney
Eisner.
Corporation. Who was it?
Michael Eisner.
Michael Eisner. But you never speak about them because, in your eyes, they're a Mickey Mouse team. Do you like that? I have to say, well done, Gary.
Hey, Jim, no wonder you get all these good charity gigs up in Scotland.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. There's another one. I believe Ryan Reynolds is around the billionaire mark due to his business dealings and his companies that he owns. So, $1 million quid is peanuts.
But he was the one.
You don't like us praising him because of his business achievements.
I admire achievements. I'm not like the British people that like to bring people down. I like to praise people for what they actually do rather than give them more credit than they're entitled to. But the reasons why I talk £1 million is that he's the one that said it. He's the one that said, if we didn't get promoted, this was existential to us. £1 million would have been lost and we'd have been in real trouble. Well, make your mind up. Either you're a billionaire or you're not.
Briefly, how far can the EFL go, though, over in the United States?
How far can it go? How far does it need to go?
Well, they have a big identity now they didn't have before.
Well, they can't. Everybody wants the Premier League. So if the EFL was really polishing itself, I used to have this conversation about the Premier League being all bells and whistles. and the Championship being an old geezer with a rattle as part of their advertising. So if they're going to up their game and promote themselves in the right fashion, they give themselves lots of opportunities. But they will always be second fiddle to the Premier League.
Yeah, and the EFL. Let's be honest. It's Ryan Reynolds is the one that's created the spike of interest there in Wrexham. It's not really the EFL as a package. They've got people over there who love watching EFL, yes, but that's only been enhanced because of one owner and one club and the Netflix series. I don't think people over there are going, oh, we really love the EFL now.
All helps, though.
I see the value of it.
It helps.
Series.
I mean,
It helps
see the
because
value of it.
you'll gain interest, but only so much. It can only go so far.
It's not necessarily the interest to the punter, it's the broadcasters. The broadcasters' eyes have been opened up a little bit, so they can see the value of it. So, of course, it plays its part. I'm just pushing back up against the categorisation that you want to put on it, that the only reason they've done this deal is because of Deadpool.
Look, you've already admitted you're jealous of him, and we agree, so let's move
Envious.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, at the time when they came in, we thought, what are they doing here? Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. But now the spin-off for others, Simon, has been it has been quite seismic in a relatively short space of time.
I mean, we knew what they were doing here because they underpinned their proposition, and wonderful for Wrexham, by the way.
Yeah.
Underpinned their proposition by a commercial broadcast deal. And that's great. And because sport is entertainment, I fully understand the reality of it. But we have seen football people with significant wealth attach themselves to football clubs like Salford. And we know that there is a massive disconnect between what it takes to get yourself into a position where you're a proper football club competing in the Championship, as opposed to smaller football clubs that still have value and still have cost implications, but there are two different distinctions. And if we're going to make all this brouhaha about these guys, let's have a look at it through a proper prism rather than just, oh, how wonderful, it's a Hollywood movie star that's turned the EFL into something viable.
I think
I don't like that characterisation.
No, but I think
were
it's
you
been
turned down
admirable.
for a movie role? Is this why? Were you meant to be in a movie we would have seen you in, but
Well,
you didn't get the
Shrek.
gig?
Yeah.
I think it's admirable the amount of energy and effort they have put in.
Yes.
I didn't expect that. You know,
Yeah.
they're there a lot. The journey they've been on, you know, integrating themselves a lot with the local community and the fans and stuff. They could have been more distant.
And good luck to them.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying you diminish the EFL would have gone and got this deal one way or t'other. It's been helped and enhanced, and every aspect of something that increases the recognition is good. But when you're sitting there as a tub thumper, you know, we see you disappear up David Sullivan's backside, you're off with the Saudis left, right and centre, and now all of a sudden you're the poster boy for Wrexham.
Do you think
we
they would
can't
got
have these things?
Do you think they would have got a 40% rise in overseas broadcasting rights without them? That says it all.
Possibly.
Now then, Andy in Nottinghamshire. Hi guys, I'm a Wrexham fan. I agree and disagree with Simon.
Thank you.
Yeah, the value of Rob and Ryan is immense, and they're in it for the long haul. But also the value of teams like Leeds and Ipswich and Leicester also play a huge part in all of this.
A balanced argument.
And Jim,
A well
Balanced
said.
argument.
Jim, I've
We're
got to
all
say,
about
well,
balance.
well,
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.